on Slay. What are you laughing about?
Babs is crazy. That's all.
Hey, she's drinking her water today. I'm proud of her.
Man, so proud. Even though it's a smaller bottle.
No, there's a big bottle.
Babs, you usually roll with the big bottles. Your bedazzled bottle is way bigger than that.
Yeah, it is.
What happened to the bottle where it had the times on it, where you were supposed to be?
That thing's too big, and it made me feel bad about myself. Listen, you got to mentally do what is best for yourself. And every time I'd look at it, and my water would be at like 9 a.m., and it was like 4 p.m. in the day, I felt bad about myself. And I couldn't take it anymore.
Can't have a bottle make you feel bad about yourself.
That's bunk.
No.
That's bunk.
There's a lot of directions we could go with that. You want to talk Tennessee, Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Cale Gundy, sports animal, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, long time, Oklahoma City. Cale, what's up? How are you, man?
Man, all is good. It's been a fun week. It's been a crazy week. Everybody's excited here. I'm sure they're excited there in Tennessee as well.
What's the vibe like down there? I know a lot of people listening will be headed down there. What can they expect? How excited is that community?
Well, so I've had this conversation with my guys on the radio last couple of days. Again, I coached here for 23 years. I played quarterback here a long time ago.
Yep.
I've been around a bunch of the good ones, and I think in certain ways this is as big of a game for the OU fans that OU has played maybe since the OU-Nebraska game in 2000.
The national championship
again,
year.
Yeah, the national championship year. And we played some big games through that time, but it's everybody's a little hesitant. Going in the SEC, there hasn't been a lot of positive talk about OU. Going in the SEC, kind of middle-of-the-road team. And I think this is a big game which will show a lot of people. If OU can find a way to come out and win this game, I think it'll make a lot of people say, you know what, OU is ready for the SEC. Because the talk around here, and it has been for 6 months, a year, and I think it's put some doubts in some Sooner fans' minds, is OU going to be good enough and be successful enough in the Southeastern Conference?
Yeah, and there's all the talk about Texas, the other team moving into the conference at the same time. So the part of it that makes this even bigger is obviously the Josh Heupel head coach at Tennessee connection, which you know him well. I know he was the quarterback there for that national championship game that you talked about, and you were there as well when he was a coach. So what is the, I guess, fan base's take on Josh Heupel?
The Sooner fans love Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel was the last quarterback that won a national championship here. And in the mid-1990s, OU was kind of floundering and struggling, going in some different directions. Hired Coach Stoops in 98, and Mike Leach was the offense coordinator, and I was Coach Stoops. He brought me a part of that staff. So he's the last one to have won. I mean, we've played in four in the 2000s, but we've only won one. So these people love him, respect him. But come game time, I mean, they're concerned, but they're going to want to beat him as bad as they can.
Do you have any good Josh Heupel stories for us?
And Josh just really wasn't that type of guy. Josh was. Josh wasn't much of a story guy. I mean, what you see in Josh is what you get. I mean, I think you guys kind of see it now. He's starting to get a little bit of sense of humor, but
took a while.
Between he and Brent Venables. Brent talks for 46 minutes because he loves to talk, and Josh talks for 15 minutes in his press conference. But Josh is a football guy. He's always been a football guy. When he came from Snow Junior College in South Dakota, when Mike Leach brought him here, he's a football guy. He's a football junkie. He and Mike Leach hit it off just because they were very laid back and they loved football.
Cale Gundy with us on 3HL.
Cale, let me ask you, man, about this Oklahoma defense. We keep hearing about it. You got guys that who is it? Mason Thomas that can get to the quarterback. Getting guys healthy, how key is that? Or can this defense alone just walk out there and get it done?
So the defense is healthy.
Okay.
It's the offensive side that's
offense is banged up. Okay.
Our Mason Thomas is a second-year player, sophomore, that had 3 sacks Saturday night. He's been battling some injuries, battled some last year, was battling some at the beginning of camp. This defense is very good. They are very, very good across the board, and they have 2 deep. They've got 2 deep everywhere. It's a very aggressive style defense. That's a Brent Venables defense. Number one, we're going to shut the run game down. You're not going to run the football on us. That is what Brent Venables, Bob Stoops, Mike Stoops from a long time ago, how they installed their defense. That's what they want to do. They've got great size and they've got speed. These guys can run. Now, you won't see, they've got a couple defensive linemen that are in their 315s and 320s, maybe 325 or so, but may not be the biggest team in the SEC, but I would venture it will be one of the top 3 fastest teams on the defensive side when it comes to 2 deep. When you put 24 players out there on the defensive side, 22 players on the defensive side, I bet they're one of the fastest teams. And they play hard and they play physical.
If they choose to, Cale Gundy with us talking about Oklahoma and Tennessee, if Oklahoma chooses to kind of load everything toward trying to limit Dylan Sampson in that run game and go man-to-man on the outside, are they talented enough in the secondary to defend Tennessee receivers man-to-man?
Not consistently. I mean, nobody is across the board. They'll battle and they'll fight and they'll have some success, but they won't do that. Brent won't do that throughout the whole game. I mean, you're going to see a lot of disguises. Mm-hmm. You're going to see some. I mean, you guys aren't. Nico is, and the question is can Nico handle it? Mm-hmm. Nico's going to see a lot of different blitz packages, a lot of disguises. I mean, they're going to load the box to stop the run. They're going to load the box. They're going to bail out of there. They're going to have safeties on top. They know that at any given moment, the ball can be thrown 70 yards down the field to one of your receivers, whether it's Thornton or Brazel or, Squirrel White or Brew McCoy or whoever, and those guys can go 75 yards. So, I mean, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But Coach Venables' defense, that's the only way they can have success is they got to do a great job of disguising and also the blitz pressure and try to get home to Nico.
Where are we with Jackson Arnold at quarterback?
Jackson Arnold is struggling. He's having some success, but not very much. Offensively, the 3 games that OU has had, I mean, they have not been very good. They had 378 total yards versus Temple, which is, I mean, when I saw them, I thought it was one of the worst teams I've ever seen play in that stadium. Houston, they had 249 yards. Tulane, they had 349 yards. So here's a first-year quarterback, very similar to Nico. Played in the bowl game last year, but he's still a first-year quarterback. Lots of injuries in the offensive line, lots of injuries out at wide receiver. They have some running backs. They're still trying to find exactly who their 2 guys are. I think they've maybe got it narrowed down. So, the tough thing is you've had injuries at the offensive line. You've had injuries at the wide receiver. Maybe some of the play calling hasn't been what it should be. But when you're handcuffed, it's difficult to really open things up offensively. So I've known Jackson. I watched him in high school. He came out of my recruiting area in the Metroplex. He's got the ability to be one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the SEC in the future. That is if he is surrounded with the right players. If he has the offensive line, if he can get these receivers back, then they got a chance to be really good. But right now, they're struggling offensively, doing what they're doing right now.
And how much of that is that offensive line? I mean, and that is not a good matchup in this game when you look at what Tennessee's doing up front.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the SEC is about the battle of the trenches. Mm-hmm. And, you got to have depth. The best teams in the SEC defensively are the teams that can roll, 7 or 8 guys out there on the defensive line and keep guys fresh and there not be that much of a drop off. You got those big, strong defensive tackles. You got the guys out there on the edge. And so it's going to be a challenge. Defensively, Tennessee, to me, has got the upper hand because of the situation that OU's in. Now, we don't know, and we never know around here. And I know they have these SEC injury reports, but I don't put 2 cents in any of that stuff because they always say it's a game time decision, whatever that means. And we've been hearing around here for 2 weeks that guys have practiced all week long, they look good, this and that, and then they're in street clothes on Saturday. So you just don't know who's going to show up. They've got some talented receivers. They lost two of their top probably 4 receivers, 2 guys that I recruited. Jaden Gibson out of Florida he tore his ACL in fall camp. Jalil Farouk out of Maryland broke a bone in his foot, and the other receiver, Nick Anderson, who might be back, who is a first, second round receiver talent-wise, but he's been battling some injuries, has not played this whole year.
Long-time Oklahoma assistant, former Oklahoma quarterback, Cale Gundy with us on 3HL.
So I'm watching this line and it keeps ballooning. It's funny. We were talking about it started, Vols a 3.5-point dog earlier in the summer. And now all of a sudden we're looking at, Vols favored by 8, 9, some places. How does Oklahoma win this game?
They have to keep it close. Mm-hmm. They do. They've got to keep it close. The defense has to win this game. I mean, to me, this is a matchup of Tennessee's offense and OU's defense. And I'm a huge fan of Tennessee offense. I'm a huge fan of Nico. I've watched him. Nico is a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, potentially, if he stays healthy. Nico is not only a first-round draft QB, he could potentially be a first player taken in the draft if he stays healthy.
Yep.
So how good is Tennessee offense? Tennessee played Chattanooga. They're an FCS team. I mean, I played better teams when I was in 5th grade in elementary school. Okay, North Carolina State, they played. North Carolina State is a respectable team and has a respectable defense, but right now they're 89th in the country defensively. Okay, so they're not very good. The team you played last week in Kent State is 133rd on both sides of the ball, offensively or defensively.
Yeah, they're bad.
When you played NC State, who was the best defense you played so far, which is 89th in the country, you only scored 1 touchdown in the first half. You had another touchdown that was an interception return, and you had 2 field goals. Now, they got it going in the second half. So you got the number 2 ranked offense in the country, the number 2 ranked defense in the country, the Tennessee Vols, going against an OU defense that is 28th in the country. Offensively, they're like 109th in the country. So the defense has to win this game. They've got to find a way to keep this thing under 21 points. I don't know how that's going to happen because I do believe Tennessee is very good. But, again, you're playing on the road. This is Nico's first big game on the road. And in a hostile environment, it'll be a crazy, crazy atmosphere here.
Yep.
You're going against a defense that's going to be extremely complicated and do a great job disguising, and they are going to blitz, okay? And they've got a 2 deep. These guys will run. They are physical. They are extremely, extremely active. And it's just we're going to learn a lot who these teams are this week. The reason that OU was favored in the summer because nobody knew Tennessee was going to be what they are. Tennessee's returning production was very, very low. One of the I think they're like 100 something coming back, returning starters in production in college football. So, again, they look like they know what's going on. OU defense is good. And when Brent Venables gets his hands on it and game plans and stuff like this and being on the road, we're going to find out if Nico's ready to be that guy. I know talent-wise he is, but it's mentally, can he be that dude? If he can walk in here and have success, he is that dude.
The other thing is Oklahoma leads the SEC in forced turnover, so that is definitely an element to look for. But holding Tennessee under 21, that's a lot to ask, man. I think Oklahoma's going to have to score.
I'm not betting on it.
Hey, Cale, you mentioned Mike Leach. Do you have any Mike Leach stories? We love him so much.
Oh, my gosh. Mike Leach, I've got millions and millions of stories, and I wish I had time to tell you all of them. Mike Leach is one of those guys, when he called you on the phone and you saw his name pop up as Mike Leach, you better have at least 45 minutes. You're going to be on there for a while, okay? And if you're on there for 45 minutes, 41 minutes is just a bunch of BS and stories and laughing and fun. So when Coach Stoops hired us here in December '98, myself, I was 26 years old. Steve Spurrier Jr. was 27.
Yeah.
Mike Stoops and Brent Venables and Mark Mangino. Who else?
It's a staff.
Yeah, that's a hell of a
Jonathan
staff.
Hayes, Bobby Jack Wright. Anyways, we lived in some condos until our families could get here and we could find homes or whatever to live in. And we were, even Bob. I think Bob was, I don't know, 34 years old, 36 or something. We were all young. We were just like a bunch of, frat guys, basically. We would coach harder than hell during the day. We would recruit our butt off. But then at nighttime, we'd have fun. We all like to drink beer, and we all went to Mark Mangino's room. So we had the equipment managers always stash and put beer in. They'd go in there every day, every morning, check and see how much is in there. They'd load the whole refrigerator full of beer. And so at nighttime, that's where we all went and hung out, was Mark Mangino's room.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, back then, a bunch of those guys smoked cigars. And Mike Leach, he's a night guy. He's a night owl. So everybody would leave, about 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Mike Leach would sit there on the edge of the bed, Mark Mangino's bed. He'd already be in bed, and Mike Leach would sit on the edge of the bed with his Miller Lite in his hand with his thumb over the top of the bottle, and he'd be watching Howard Stern. He did that every night. Every night. And Barry would, wake up, and the light would be on the TV on. He'd be like, Mike, you think you need to go to your room at 3 o'clock in the morning?
That's so good. There's so many. The last one we heard, which is so beautiful and perfect, and Heupel, we asked him about it on the show at SEC Media Days, was when Mike Leach wanted to drop the game plan to where they picked it up and it was fake.
Well, I was part of that. Myself, and we were in there late at night. We were game planning for Texas. It was myself, Steve Spurrier Jr., and Coach Leach. And so it was my script that we decided to put my name up on the top of it. And we had given it to, I think, Trent Smith, which was a tight end. And during warm-ups, he accidentally dropped it. He had it down in his pants, and he was looking at it during warm-ups and stuff, and he put it down and he was jogging and he was going up kind of close to the tunnel in the south end zone. It fell out, and the Texas one or two of the Texas defensive GAs found it, and sure enough, they did take it back, and it worked for about a quarter. We got about 21 points, but after they started figuring out that they don't need to be looking at that script anymore. They got our butt at it that first year.
That first touchdown pass, it was funny to listen to the
That's
broadcast where they were like, I've never seen anybody more wide open.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
well,
man.
guys, hey, this is going to be exciting. This is
it'll be fun.
interesting to see very, very talented teams. Tennessee offensively, they've got to establish a run game because OU defense is designed to shut the run game down. So Tennessee's got to establish a run game. Nico's got to be able to handle blitzes and get the ball off and complete some slants and some inside fades, stay on the field on third down. And then OU offensively, they got to find a way to have some success on first down, protect Jackson Arnold, and also get some big pass plays in the pass game because they haven't had any all year.
Cale, appreciate it, man. Great stuff.
Good stuff.
Enjoyed the conversation, brother.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great one, okay?
All right, have fun
Thanks,
Saturday.
Coach.
There's Cale Gundy, does radio down in Oklahoma now. Interesting dude.
Still
He's
didn't
got-
get to ask him how
some good stuff.
he's at Oklahoma. His brother's at Oklahoma State.
You know that guy. You know his brother is
He
irritating.
sounds like his brother. They sound alike.
But you know his brother is irritating as crap at Thanksgiving and
Ain't no
stuff.
question. Bedlam, baby. Bedlam will never stop.
All right, more 3HL next, 104.5 The Zone.